to our in-house jazz ensemble, the Tal Klein Trio. I did put up a sign in a new store across the street in Hebrew saying looking for musicians, so I got what I needed. Right, so you guys are awesome. Okay, yeah, thanks for that, thanks. Okay, what does it say with the decision making? Yeah, you ready to do this? Okay, Mike, can I have a drink? Thanks. Decision making like this. I actually had the perfect conversation before I came up here tonight to speak to you, because I was sitting with a new friend of mine who is the founder and CEO of Greenhouse, which is a hiring software company. Okay, so used by major industry players. How do you hire someone? How do you decide who's a good fit for your company, who's not? And so I asked them, I said, so great, I'm up here tonight talking about decision making, and you're the guru. You wrote the software for decision making. How do you decide who you hire? It's a pretty critical decision, because if you get it wrong, the company tanks, right? You want to make sure you hire well. And you can look it up and you can see how successful they are. And I was trying to dig down at like the gems over here of where's the wisdom in hiring, and we can extrapolate from that to all areas of life, our relationships, our jobs, whatever we need to do. How do you make a decision? You would think, you know, companies like Google and Apple or whatever, they're gonna figure out how to make a great decision over here. And so his is the company that develops the software and the technology that allows you the trust that you need to make these important hires. So I'm saying, okay, so what are the gems? Right? Like, what are the gems? We all want to know this. What are the gems? And so he gave me a few of them, but one of them really struck me. The gem was the skill of being able to identify purely the generic needs of the position, and then take a smattering of potential candidates and only measure them up vis-a-vis the criteria that you create that the job requires. You sit down with people who know the job, know what the company is, know what you're looking for. You get those criteria, blind criteria in a sense, right? And then you'll get your swath of employees or potential applicants, and you'll measure them and do all the data based upon these things. And so I was like, well, no duh. Like, how else are you hiring for a job? What does the job need? Who fits that criteria the best? He says, no, you don't understand. I said, that's so obvious. Wait a minute, this is the gem. That's so obvious. He says, no. It doesn't work that way. People hire people that they like have good conversations with, that they talk to, that they feel connected to. But they don't, because this might provide the output of that algorithm might be someone that is nothing like you, from a different culture, different interests, different everything. You would think, of course, for the company, he's talking about 5 million hires that are happening, 30 million potential applicants for jobs that his software is sifting through. Major corporations, 5 million jobs is a lot of jobs out there that are using his technology. And he'd be talking about some of the blind spots that come up, that creep up, and how you do this. Like the consequence is huge, right? You have an entire economy based upon how you hire. You have to hire well. And anyone, if you know anything about management or a company structure or how teams work, you better get that right, because if you have a bad dynamic, you can take the whole thing down. And so, but he said something which was so obvious to me. He says, no, people are looking for shortcuts. People are looking, people need to have the camaraderie or the connection, so it's something homogenous, something like you, something safe that you think is safe, but really you're making a bad decision. Because you're not actually looking objectively. You're not thinking it through properly. You're just going, and this is what he said, you're going with your gut. So you're going with your gut. I said, that's so simple. Of course you don't go with your gut when you're hiring. He says, yeah, but everyone does. So I tried to drill down with him, well, why? Why is it that when I have a company and what I want is a bottom line and I want to be successful, why is it that I'm looking for someone like me? Someone who looks like me, acts like me, talks like me, I relate to, someone I connect to, why am I looking for a best friend in a company partner? I'm looking for bottom line. My board doesn't care if I'm good friends with the people in the company. It cares what the bottom line is. So that was a little less clear as to the psychology behind it. I have my ideas of why we need deeply to marry. These are my ideas, not his work, but like we have a deep need. You know, I teach every other weekend WeWork. I'm telling you, it's like night and day what it used to be like in there before, when everyone thought they had solved the crisis of humankind. Like we had invented the ideology and the world peace and the vision of community and camaraderie and working together. I mean, WeWork was utopia until the whole thing crashed. And it's like a morgue. And everyone's suspicious and paranoid, looking over their shoulders, knowing who's being fired next. It's crazy. I've been there the whole time. I'm just a rabbi with the sushi tray, right? Nothing changed for me. But the attendance went way down, okay? But like people bought into this thing. It's like this, I believe in this. Forget Bernie Sanders, that's not utopia. This, WeWork is utopia. I'm gonna send my kids to We Schools and We Gyms and We Grows and We Investments and We Retirement Funds and We Grave Sites, whatever it is. The We was gonna be everything. I was able to marry my work to who I am, to my essence, right? And so the most frightening thing about the WeWork collapse is that people lost a sense of identity, lost a sense of purpose. There's a crazy thing where we go out into the world and you guys have a job you're looking to accomplish in the world out there, in the marketplaces, to do things, and yet we're looking in that for our identity of self. You with me? It's crazy. It's crazy, right? And it's destroying companies left, right, and center. He's got to create algorithms and software just to tell you, hello, use your brain. Don't hire the guy that looks just like you, that acts like you, talks like you, comes from around the corner. Hire the person right for the job. I needed him to tell me that. That's such a Jewish thing. I needed him to tell me that. Right? Okay? It's a fascinating concept, and there's great psychology behind it. So let's get into the Judaism behind it, of course, because we've been talking about this stuff for thousands of years, right? There's a very, very cool concept. How do we make decisions? I'll give you one more insight. My daughter, my third child, second oldest daughter, super brilliant kid. She got into, like, let's call it, of the religious institutions, she got into like the Harvard and Yale. She just got it, okay? She's great and brilliant and all these things. And she had to decide which one does she go to. And you had like a Monday deadline, and she literally couldn't decide, and crying. On the one hand, she's like, yes, I understand. What a great privilege. I got into the best places, but I haven't. How do I make a decision? How do I make a decision? Right? And it was crippling. It was paralyzing. And it was too emotional, and how do I know? If I choose that one, maybe the other one's the best one. I choose that one, maybe the other one's the best one, right? How do you know? So we had a great exercise this week in decision making. So I'm going to give you 2 gems of decision making that you can apply everywhere, okay? The first gem will deal with my daughter's situation. And this is key. The key to decision making is being able to decide or define what part of the choice is in your control and what part is outside your control. I told my daughter, you're not going to get the clarity that one is wrong and the other's right. You're not going to get that. It's not going to be that this is the worst thing and this is good. You're not going to have a voice come from heaven. It's not going to say, choose this one. It's not going to happen. You won't have that clarity. But what can you have? What can you know? In any decision, there are factors that have nothing to do with you. Or there are things that you're trying to accomplish with the decision, like you want clarity that A is better than B or B is better than A. You're not going to get that. But the question is, what do you have in front of you? What are the areas where you could ascribe weights and measures? It might not be emotionally fulfilling because it doesn't tick every box, but 7 out of the 10 boxes that you need to tick have nothing to do with you. They're not under your control. If one of those boxes, I want to know for sure, you're not going to know for sure. You have to be able to figure out what you can change, what you can control, what you can assess, and what you can't. And therefore, your decision is only going to be based upon the things that you can. You have the freedom to remove from the equation all the things that have nothing to do with you. And you just can't know. Whether you believe in God and God didn't give you the ability to change those things, or just the reality, your practical person in front of you. There are so many different factors that go in every decision. I'm going to remove the ones that are not in my domain to decide between. I don't have the ability to choose or to weigh them out. When I whittle it down to the things I can actually weigh out, and that I can investigate, and I can see and consider, I have to be able to limit my vision with blinders on to those things, and decide, weigh those things out, ascribe weights and measures to those things, and then choose. Because what you've done at the bottom line is you've made the best choice you can make. the things that you cannot control, the things that you cannot decipher, so you can't choose in that area. So let's whittle them, you can move them all out. It's amazing when you think this way, because really you get so many things out of the picture. And then you're looking at that little circle in the middle of the things that you actually can know the difference between. They might not be the most important things. This school versus that school, is it location? Well, what do I feel about location? Even though I'm not going to choose a school location, I mean, I'll go to Dartmouth if it's a great school in the middle of nowhere, Cornell because it's gorgeous. You know, I have to go to Penn or Harvard because it's in the city. Whatever it is, right? But if that's all you have, then you're making a decision on what you have. And when you make that decision, here's the paradigm shift. What's so critical about a decision is that once you've made the decision, if you actually have the confidence that you did everything you could do, then you can go with it. If you know you were confused and you just went with your gut, if you know that you didn't think it through, or you got confused by so many things, and you just have to decide because the pressure's done, I'm going to decide. I'm going to do that job, I'm going to do this, I'll go at that person, whatever it is, then you're always second guessing because you don't trust the quality of the process. But the only way to trust the quality of the process is to know what you can decipher, what you can change, what you can deal with, isolate those, weigh them out, make the best decision, you're going to go with that. Because you've done everything you can do. You got to pat yourself on the back and say, this is my reality. You're all, God willing, when you think about your wedding day, you don't picture a day where it's pouring rain or sleet. You don't picture that. But you know something? It might happen. The reality in your life, the day you get married, it'll be a horrible ice storm, right? Half the guests won't come. You can't plan that. That's not in your control. You would rather be a beautiful sunny day. But there are certain things in every decision you cannot control. And you have to leave them out. You know what? On your wedding day, you'll be happy to be married anyway, even if the weather stinks. When you know what you can know, and you leave out the things you cannot know, you decide on those things. And then if you have that clear, what ends up happening is you're more confident in the decision that you made because you did everything you could do. Okay? You with me? That's gem number one. It's a very important exercise of a decision. But let's go a little deeper. There's a word in Hebrew for king. This word is melech. Homework for you. When you go to the Megillah reading on Purim, you'll notice at the top of every page of a Megillah scroll of the Purim Megillah, the Megillah Esther, the word Hamelech is at the top of the page. Your homework is to why is that there. Okay, but that's what it is. But this word melech is mem lamed chaf. That's what this word is. How you spell melech in Hebrew is with a mem, a lamed, and a chaf. That's what it is. With the opposite of the word, if you reverse the letters, it's a word that says kalem, which means disgrace. Chaf lamed mem means a disgrace. Disgrace. So our sages teach us something really powerful. And this is what my friend downstairs was talking about. And this is simple, but it's so hard. It's so simple, but it's so hard. But maybe this Jewish imagery will make it sink in, because you're either going to be a king or you're going to be a total disgrace. Those are the words mean. And it works like this. The way melech, king, is spelled, a mem, lamed, chav, m, la, cha, is representative of three other words. Mayach, which means brain, la, lave, your heart, and kloyos, your kidneys. There's the brain, the intellect, there's the passion, and there's the blood, there's the physicality, there's the body, there's what I want, my gut. That's the last way you want to make a decision. The way you make a decision is with your brain first, what's intellectually the right thing to do. You have to get rid of the heart, you have to get rid of the body, what I want, what's familiar, what my gut is, or what my desire is, my heart, my passions. You have to get those out of the picture, and you make a clear intellectual line chart of what is the right thing for this job or the right thing for this decision. Get my emotions out of it. I don't want a conflict of interest. First I want to get it clear. And then when I have it clear, then I bring in the lamed, the lave, the heart. I got to get passionate about that because that's the right decision. And then my body's got to follow my passion. I got to get my arms and my legs and my whole essence into it. And behind it, I got to get behind that decision. That's with my physicality. That's my body. That's a king. The king masters their decisions because what's going first is the truth of the dry, objective, antiseptic, surgical evidence that you need, the information you need. And then you get passionate about that, and your body follows through like a loyal foot soldier. The disgrace is when you reverse it. And what comes first? The blood, the body, the physicality. This is what I want. I lust after this, or it's familiar to me, or whatever, right? I have some base needs. I am passionate about filling those base needs, and my mind comes along at the end just to justify my decision. He says that's what everyone does. When people make bad hires, what they're doing is they're trying to find a homogenous person. They're trying to connect. Like, I can feel it in my gut. And then you want that because you want to have a connection. You need a friend. You need camaraderie. You need to feel like there's all the passions and your feelings there. And your mind just spends the rest of the time trying to justify why that's the right person for the job. Right? But you got it all wrong. It's kaleim. It's a disaster. We have to go clear. Get your conflict of interest out of the way. Our sages teach us that the longest road in creation is the one between the head and the heart. Okay? They're right here next to each other, but it's a very long road between them. You got to get the thing clear, melech, then the heart, you're passionate about what's intellectually, truthfully in front of you in any decision, the truth about the right guy for you, the right gal for you, the right job, the truth, the hardcore, difficult, painful truth. But you got to be able to isolate and get that clear, and then you get passionate about that, and then your body goes into it. Okay? I'll leave you with this. I'm sorry, Bianca, I'm going to go a little bit over. When I asked my wife to marry me, okay, it's a religious experience, right? We only dated 5 weeks, and then I asked her, right? It's crazy. I know it's crazy, right? That's a separate question. What do I need to know to get there? But an amazing thing happened like this. I got to a point intellectually, where I knew that there were no stones to be uncovered. That I had done the investigation and I had ticked the boxes intellectually, but emotionally I was not ready to ask her to marry me. Maybe there's somebody else. Maybe there's, how do I know? Who am I? I'm too young. I don't know. I can get paralyzed. I got to a point where I was intellectually clear. There's no place else to go. I either ask her to marry me or I drop the whole thing, right? And so I prayed the first time I ever really prayed in my life, because I got to that point of clarity where intellectually I was there. Right? I knew it intellectually, but emotionally it was hard. It was hard to get the body into it and everything. It's hard to make that commitment. And I prayed the prayer that I think is my paradigm of prayer, because I asked the Almighty at that point, like, I've done everything I can do. I'm going to ask this girl to marry me. There's no way, because I won't be able to live with myself if I don't. But I don't know. I don't know. So I'm asking you. I'm going to ask her. If she's not the right person, please have her say no. We happen to have been at the Dead Sea, so I was a little dramatic. I said, or have a 7-headed monster come out of the Dead Sea and swallow her whole. That's not fair, okay? But I was desperate at the time. But the point was, when in 21 years of marriage, we go back to the process, that the process was deeply, painfully, intellectually honest. And because of that, you can take your decision as far as it can go, and you can climb every hurdle and climb every mountain when you get there, because you believe it was the right decision to make. You know the other people weren't saying crazy things in your ear that weren't the right things to be said. You got it clear, you made the time and the space and the clarity to know yourself, know the decision in front of you, and you were intellectually, deeply, painfully honest, and then you became passionate, you fell in love with it, and your body followed suit. Those are two great gems.